Hello and welcome to my overview on AncestryDNA updated for October 2025. Ancestry is a website that I use every single day, pretty much. I'd say 360, maybe not 365 days, but 360 days a year. Why I use it so much is simply because it's got the biggest database. So for, I'd say 99% of my clients, out of all the various DNA websites, it's the one that's most likely to yield results for people. Over the last couple of years, Ancestry has introduced quite a few things as part of its Pro membership, and that has actually been a game changer for a lot of my clients. So let's take a look and you can see what I do on a day-to-day basis. So this is the main screen that you have when you open up your DNA results. I'll be honest, I never ever go to this page. I've never noticed this before. It's not something I'm particularly interested in. It will always tell you any sales that are on, and it will just give you this. This used to be at the top of the section, so this will give you a kind of brief overview of your matches. Not much to look at there. Let's jump to the origins and see what apparently it thinks that this is new. It's not new. I probably just haven't looked at my ethnicity results for some time since they last updated. Again, when I'm doing work, I almost never look at this section. What I always do, and you do need the membership for this, I think. I can't remember if you need Pro or just the standard, but I always go to the by parent and ancestral regions by parent, and I scroll down to this section here, because for clients, especially if they're looking for a biological parent, this is going to be the most helpful for me. Obviously for me, you can see it's not actually that interesting. My mum and dad's ethnicity are fairly similar to each other, mostly English and Northwestern European, mix of Scottish, mix of Welsh. My dad's got no Irish, my mum's got some, and my dad has allegedly got -1% of Finnish. I don't believe that to be true, but anyway. So the match list is where I spend most of my time. That and in the genealogical trees, research trees. This is a relatively new feature, auto clustering. Haven't actually run it on mine, so we'll see how long this takes. Hopefully not too long. Here we go. So that's a bit anticlimactical. I actually have not found this very useful at all, I'll be honest, but I've never found clustering very useful, because normally for me, it's not telling me anything I didn't already know. All it's really found is a little couple of maternal clusters and one massive paternal clusters. Now these clusters aren't wrong. I know exactly what they reflect. Broadly speaking, this represents my dad's side. It's not picked up any other clusters for his family at all. For my mum, it's actually reflected both of her parents. Even though I personally don't find it particularly helpful, I do recommend you try it out. Just takes a little bit of time. If you're brand new to the DNA world, it might help you instantly kind of group your matches without you having to do much work. And if nothing else, it's an interesting exercise. And just because right now it's not too useful for me personally, doesn't mean they're not going to improve the tool. It's a brand new tool, only came out a few months ago. They're always improving these things. So yeah, time will tell what it does, essentially. So let's look at this chap. So this match for a very long time was my highest match. And this is going to show you where Pro comes into its own. And I can't show you a before and after, unfortunately. You'll only know this is different because when you look at yours, if you don't have the Pro membership, it will look different. So what Pro does is it tells you how much DNA your DNA match shares with the other matches you have in common with them. So before, I couldn't see this part of the screen. I could only see this part of the screen, if that makes sense. So as well as giving you this information, it also does something else. If you go over here to sort, it will allow you to look at the shared matches in the order in which this person shares DNA with the matches, rather than in order of view. So the piece of information that we didn't have a couple of years ago was, if I didn't know who this user was, I would have no idea that he is very closely related to this match, or that all these matches were very closely related to each other. For example, this match popped up probably a year or so ago now. And what the Pro allowed me to do, because he did not have any identifying information, what it allowed me to do was to see that he's actually the son of my kind of the newest top match. So I now know who he is. I could have worked that out because I do know these people personally now, but she'd never mentioned, or I'd never known about this particular son. So yeah, let's find a match that's completely unknown to me. So I don't know who this is, absolutely no idea. It's not got much information, just one person in history who's probably himself. So if I go to the shared matches, okay, I can see he's a match on my mother's side because he's a match to my mother. And instantly I see people I recognise. But if I look at this view, I get a much better example. And that allows me to tie him in much more easily into the branch of the family that I didn't know before. So what this tool can do is it can help you figure out, it can help you more quickly get to who the common ancestors of your DNA matches are. Especially sometimes I've noticed you'll have a match who's fairly close to you, say 200 or so. You'll look at their shared matches and you'll see there's people very closely related to them, but they're only distantly related to you. But those, so you wouldn't have found them, or you wouldn't have noticed them, but those distant people will have very fleshed out family trees. And if you can figure out quickly how those DNA matches are related to each other, you can then figure out how you connect in, or the most likely way that you connect in. And I have successfully used this tool for cases that I could not have solved a year ago, 2 years ago, before this tool came along. So whilst Pro, it's not cheap, for me it's another, I think it's £8 or £7.99, £8, let's be honest, £8 on top of my monthly subscription. And yes, I do pay for Ancestry monthly because business cash flow is a thing. I would like to be able to pay for it annually. I can't do that yet. So essentially I'm paying about £30 every month as opposed to 20. But for me it's well worth it because it enables me to solve cases that I couldn't have previously solved, and make inroads on cases and know where, even if I can't get to an answer right now, it tells me where the answer is most likely to be found. Pro does have some other things, which I'll be completely honest, I have not investigated at all, because I'm really only interested in using Pro for DNA purposes. But it does this thing where it will evaluate your tree for you. Apparently my tree is very strong. I disagree, there's bits of it that definitely need some attention. Do as I say, not as I do. See, look at all this stuff. I don't even know. But that's okay, because I'm not here to tell you about Ancestry as a whole, just the DNA portion. One thing we should also probably look at, which I again have not looked at for a while, is through lines. This, if you don't know, once you've linked your DNA results to a tree, it will try and figure out for you which of your matches relate to which ancestors. Sometimes it can give you clues which should not always be followed. For example, it's picked out that my third great grandfather might be this chap, Thomas Becket. That is untrue. Thomas Becket was the husband of Alice's mother, but Alice was born a good, I think, 8 years before they met and got married. So, yeah, not true, but somebody's put it in the tree as that. Let's see if there's any other clues it can give me. So Thomas Becket. I'm assuming these are the parents of Thomas Becket, so I would ignore those two. I don't know where it's picking this up. We could have a look at that one. Frances Williams as the mother of Harriet Jones. I'm probably not going to trust that, because there's too many Harriet Jones in Wales, especially that specific part of Wales. It doesn't look to me like I would want to follow that particular clue. Okay, that's about all for now. I've rambled on for quite long enough. If you have any questions about AncestryDNA that you would like me to answer, or any questions about DNA work generally, leave a comment below. Or maybe you want to tell me about some discoveries you've made with your AncestryDNA results. All right, until next time, bye-bye.